How you doing, everybody? This is Max Farrow with Fabertech.com, and I'm here with my good friend and partner, Christophe Gagne. How you doing, Christophe?
Doing well. Thanks, Max.
Hey, not a problem, buddy. So listen, we're here today to talk about, in this webinar, in this series that we're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about product of investment. This is referred to as POI, and we say that POI is the path to ROI and not the reverse. So I guess the first thing to ask is, what is POI? Chris and I have been in business now for some time, and we've had multiple businesses, whether it be brick or mortar or online presence. And I think you and I, Chris, have talked many different occasions on our clients asking us questions like, when can I see results from what you do? How can I justify ROI? You know, why should I pay for this now? How many customers am I going to get from it? And all that kind of stuff. And that could be true when it comes to things like advertising and marketing and sales building and, marketing efforts, that kind of stuff. But to secondary products that you would need for your business to run, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So in your idea that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, we came up with this phrase, POI, products of investment. That's not really about ROI, a return on investment, but it's more about the products that we're providing in what we call the Fab Four, which we'll talk about here in a little while. These are really about the products, and we'll talk about them in the next segments. But the idea of these products that you have, you don't really contribute them directly to ROI. And again, we'll talk about those here in a second. As a statistic goes, I was looking up, what is the percentage of businesses that fail in when they're first starting out? And Investopedia.com states that 50% of businesses fail in their first year. And one of the top 6 reasons why they fail is that these companies have an unknown location, a lack of internet presence, and marketing. And I think where most people, when they first start their businesses, you've owned several businesses, Chris, and so have I. When you started your businesses, did you ever think about your online presence first? When you were starting like a brick and mortar, like your restaurant?
No, I didn't. They were a little bit in the right when the internet was coming out.
So stone tablets and dinosaur meat and
yeah, pretty much.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
I get you.
pretty much.
but I guess I was in the same boat because when I started my restaurant, it was in Colorado, and I knew that the internet was around, but it was still at a point where it probably wasn't the focal point, right, of business, of finding out where you're at and who you're at, and we'll talk about that segment later. But in back then, the top reasons why people lost their businesses or failed was because they didn't have as many customers as they needed. They didn't have the exposure. Their word of mouth wasn't good, right? Because back in the day, they used to say that if you had a good experience with a business, you told 4 people. And if you had a bad experience, you told 16, right? So how would all that work out in today's numbers? I'm not really sure.
Well, there's also the fact that in the first 5 years, I think it's 90% of businesses fail, and then out of the 10% that's left, within the next 5 years, 10 years, most 90% of those fail.
Right.
And a lot of it, Max, is for me, because I was working a full-time job. I was in the nuclear field and have a big family and a beautiful wife of 39 years. We're coming up on, and it's just it was a time factor.
Yeah.
So as a sole proprietor with brick and mortar, I mean, there's a lot to do.
There's a lot to do. There's always a lot to do. And this is why we try to find other people to do some of the things that we do. We'll talk about that too here. I guess we could talk right now what we're referring to as POI and the tools in the products from this point. And a couple of things like we talked about, that percentage value of unknown location and internet presence is pretty powerful, because in our process, what we provide is some of the products that help run your company, like your website, your reputation systems, your review solutions, your social integrations, your listing services, those particular processes, because we forget as business owners in today's markets that the majority of people, and we have some statistics on our website and other forums. I think it's like 95% of people that check, when they're looking to find out who you are, they check you out online, right? Everybody has a review system. Everybody has that review process. And that's what they do. They check you out. So if you don't have the proper reviews, or if you're not contacting people, or just being involved in that process, if you don't have a website, God forbid you don't have a website in today's society, right? Everybody has to have a website to kind of point, a little bit of knowledge on who you are. If you don't have some way to integrate into social media systems, rather than you just going to the website or going to your Facebook page or Twitter or LinkedIn or Instagram, if you only have one, you might even be considered a pariah, that you don't get, you don't have what everybody else has out there. So there's a lot of competitional process that happens that we forget that goes in to building our business. And these products are simply, they're simply done in today's societies, in today's technology. But a lot of business owners that are out now are not seeing them as the true products that they are. I guess we would equate to, like flyers and pamphlets and menus and signage, and, maybe even hiring some kid to stand out in a dinosaur costume to do our Brontosaurus burgers back then. Right. But I think in today's society, we've changed it.
Oh yeah, especially with just your online presence.
Yeah.
I know that in my family, my lovely bride here, she immediately goes to and finds out what the reviews are
Right.
on any product, and that's just standard.
Yeah.
That's not even a thought. So
Yeah. If you don't do it nowadays, you're probably looked at, like, what's the matter with you? Didn't you look us up?
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of it there. And I think that, the silly question to ask is that if you have these tools, I equate them to the same tools that you would use, like your cleaning products, right? Or your signage. You're just not going to, if somebody walks into your business and they see a clean bathroom, they've known that you invested in the products to have your bathroom clean. You're probably paying an employee, or you're doing it yourself. It really doesn't matter. But you have these things done, right? If you're a carpenter or a plumber or a service related person, you don't look at your hammer in the box and say, hey, when am I going to get building jobs, right? Or you don't look at your cleaning supply box and say, hey, you box of cleaning equipment, when am I going to get my ROI? When you're buying them from the store, you don't go, okay, I need 7 customers to pay for this box, right? You don't do that. You just say, I need a clean bathroom, and it needs to be done, right? So it's not that you are
who's going to do it,
right? Who's going to do it? Set the box down in front of the window and see if it cleans itself, right? And I guess you have to start asking yourself the right questions at the right time. Yes, does having a clean window produce a better ROI? Absolutely, because somebody walks up to your window is like a review of you and the person, right? So if somebody walks up to your business and you got trash out front and your windows are dirty, they're probably not going to walk in, especially if it's like an eatery, right? They might be a little bit excusing if you're like an antique warehouse or something like that, but for the most part, you walk in and your floor is dirty, or you got stuff hanging off the walls, they're not gonna have a good impression upon you. So you can't really value the process of the tools as an ROI return, because when somebody goes, well, when am I going to get something from what you do? I can easily say with 100% guarantee, you're going to get something immediately. I mean, immediately. As soon as you turn them on and you start using them, the moment you start using them, like you get an immediate use of using a hammer, right? By hitting the nail on the head and putting the product into the wood, right? You get immediate use from that. Whether or not that use is I'm hammering, or I'm cleaning the window, or I'm cleaning my bathroom, or using a mop, you get immediate use from that. And if it does a good job, that's a different level of understanding what POI is. Does it do a good job? Does it do a good enough job for you to do it? So if it does, like if in one of our products we have is a review builder, right? So somebody, if you have a review on Yelp, you can actually go visit that Yelp review and answer it directly from our system. And if whether or not it's on Yelp or Google or Facebook, you can answer it all from our system. So now instead of going to like 7 different places to answer reviews, you just answer them in one spot. So now, does that provide a service? Yes, it does. It provides such a service that it saves you time and energy from doing it if you're doing it yourself. Or if somebody else is doing it for you, it saves you time and energy.
I think, and the other thing, and I know that we'll be getting into it, but is the infamous question: where am I?
Mm-hmm.
You know, where am I in the marketplace?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know we'll be getting into that, but
Yeah.
you know, it's you know, where you got to find a place to start, and then you need to know, and we can provide those tools for you, like you were just describing. And then, okay, well, where do I want to go, and what tools do I need in order to get there?
Right. And I think that's where we come up to our next segment, which is POI as a resource and those products and how they are resource. If we look at them like we did say about cleaning supplies, the idea of those cleaning supplies, what do you consider POI? What do you consider for direct ROI? You know, your employees, your advertising, your marketing, your products or inventory or your service is all considered direct ROI, right? Like if you're selling BMWs, you know, you got to understand what the direct factor of ROI, because you have the product itself, the wholesale of the product, and the retail of the product. You're always contributing to an idea of, all right, if I bought it for 5,000 and I'm selling it for 10,000, I have my product value is about $5,000 profit margin. How does that contribute? How many do I need to sell at that point, right? How many employees can I have for the money that I make? How much advertising am I going to put out there? If I have $1,000 advertising, what's going to be the reverse? What's going to come to me from that point, right? But you don't look at your security system and say, okay, because you're a camera sitting up in the corner, how much money am I going to get for having that camera up there? Those tools don't show themselves, until you don't have them, right? Like when you don't have a clean bathroom from using cleaning supplies you bought, because you don't have any customers in your building, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have a register up front, you'll know what it's like not to have customers or be convenient, right? You don't look at your cash register and go, all right, give me the money. Well, you do in a way, and you hit tender and it opens, but but the idea is still, you don't validate that register, every single month and go, okay, do I need that register this month? You always need it. These tools that we're referring to as well, you're always going to need these tools that we're about to show you. And that's going to be your listing systems, your review solution, your social posting, and of course, customer service, right? A sort of, whether or not that's online or offline or what have you, these product values are always going to be there for you. You always should have, your listings are a little bit tougher. And we can show you in other webinars and other systems that listings for most businesses are correct, but only on a handful of places. And there's probably 150 of them or so that when people are looking up your information, they're looking for you. Like if they hear about you, if they have an awareness of you, like somebody says, well, there's a new restaurant in town, they're going to go look that up. Or if they're looking for, sneakers, or if you, whatever product or service you have, they're looking for, they're going to look it up online. And once they find you, which we help you do as well, once they find you, what are they going to find out about you? And if they find you, is that information correct? Now, in order to put that information out, you got to go to like all 159 services and put your information in, because if you don't, somebody else will. And that's happened before. There's been customers who say, all right, this is my favorite restaurant. I'm going to put it in. I think that they're over on 5th and Main, and I think it may be one something Main, but then it turns out to be that it wasn't on Main at all. It was on the other one. It was on 5th, right? So people are going to the wrong address. In most cases, listing systems, there's 4 main companies that provide all the listing systems out there in the world. So what we do is that we provide the information directly to them, and then they provide it all correct to all the other processes. Now, that tool, what does that tool save you? In our world, we look at that listing service system that we have saves you hours and hours and hours a day. We're making sure that it's always correct. And overall, how much business can that get you? Just like the security camera, you don't know what it's not doing for you until it doesn't do something for you, right? Like if you get robbed, you're going to go, I wish I had a security camera up there. But if not, can that provide you with protection, insurance? You know, most insurance companies want you to have some sort of recording device in your building nowadays, right? So that's one of the things that we do when we look at POI as a direct resource to our bottom line, which is ROI. All right, I think at this point, Chris and I, we've really seen, you know, on what it's like to have not have the well, Chris, you and I run business without these tools too, right?
Absolutely.
And I think where most people forget is that in in our world of social integration and being online and that presence, how much is really there now more than ever, that our web presence is very important. Not just a website. You know, a website, if you do it correctly and you do it simply enough, can just be the beginning part of your solution. Like you don't have to put on a new wing of your building. You just have to have just a nice little area set up that it provides information. And sometimes that may be just 5 pages, or if you have a really elaborate system, that might be 100 pages. But just know that us as a service for FaberTech actually have that availability to scale it properly. And that's what it really comes down to next, is the proper value of scale.
Right. And Max, just to back you up on that, I mean, you can have a fantastic website,
Mhm.
and all, but it really comes down to what you have in your product or your service that you're providing for people.
Yeah.
So just wanted to point that out for folks. That's all.
Well, simply enough too is that if you have a restaurant, having a website that doesn't have your menu on it, or have some sort of idea of who you are and what your history is and what your story is a detriment. It's just, then you might as well just have a piece of paper sitting on the internet somewhere. Um, you should have a value, a very simplistic value. If somebody has to root through to find out who you are, like if you don't have an about us or a way to contact you, the five main systems of a website should be real simple, of just who you are, what your history is, maybe some idea what your product is, and that should be it. If you get a lot of customer interaction on your website, or you need that, that can be done as well, but that's not a 5 page website, right? So your website should be like the first impression that anybody gives about or gets about you in your process. Your listing service should say who you are, where you are, and give detailed information about your product value of, you know, where you can be located at, whether it be online or in a business, right? Your website is like the front door of your business. Okay, if somebody walks up and your doors are dirty, or they got to go through 9 different doors and security checks to get into your business, they're probably going to be hesitant to deal with you, right? If they get to your website and it looks like it was made by a third grader, then they're probably going to be reluctant to deal with you, right? Because they know that you don't have a real understanding of delivering that information. Okay. But in order to do that, we need to know the next thing, and that's how to scale. Now, what I mean by scaling is that in most cases, if you just started out your business, and let's just say you sell sneakers, right? And you know that you can afford to buy 10,000 units of sneakers, whatever the amount is, right? We'll just say 10,000 units of sneakers, which are 10,000 sneakers. Well, actually 20,000, because there's two in a box, right? So, but the idea is that if you can afford to buy 10,000, but yet your store can only hold 5,000, what are you going to do with the other 5,000? Get what I'm saying? So the idea now is, how do you subjectively grow your business? Having a website that has 500 pages, or going out, and when do you do physical advertising? You know, how do you find content delivery or loyalty programs? Do you need those right now? You have to have somebody who knows how to scale your business. And we have a saying over at our trading network: consistency plus volume equals goal. And why is consistency so important? Well, in your business, consistency could simply be that you're stable enough as a conversion in your business that you want people to know about you. We have a little quick anecdote that will tell you that when do you know when you're ready for consistency, is that, Chris, you told me about a side story once when you had your business. Could you tell us what happened when you prematurely put a sign up on your business and what it said?
It said, it said grand opening.
Right.
And I kept there was a seafood restaurant and
Hmm.
catering, and so I put grand opening, and we kept changing the date of the grand opening because we were doing a bunch of remodeling on the inside.
Right.
So grand opening, and if I said, well, man, I've delayed it, for now 3-4 weeks about this grand opening, people are just going to start getting mad or say,
Hmm.
the guy's full of it, and so so I put the grand opening sign, and it was for real, and I put an ad in the paper or whatever. And so before I did any testing, any operations or anything of that nature to see, how does the staff react? And
Hmm.
we just went in. The grand opening was the day that we opened up the doors for business. And it was basically, we put out great food, but we got a lot of customers mad at us. I don't think they ever showed up again.
Right.
So.
So well, in this particular case, I think the lesson, what was learned, and from the anecdote here, is that he had a product, he had a value, and what he wanted to tell the world is that, hey, come in and see me, without actually testing the product values inside of his business. He didn't know what it was like to have non-grand opening people come in, right? Because grand opening means I want to be first, I want to check it out, I want to get in, and you were inundated, right? I think that's what we took away from it originally, was that you got inundated pretty quickly because the grand opening mentality wasn't, you weren't ready, right?
Right.
And so that's the other thing, right? You wouldn't go after, I could sell you a package for $1,000 for advertising every month, and you could get 1,100 people there, and you get 1,100 people there, and then all of a sudden they start putting out reviews on your system, and you can't handle it because you don't want to go to 50 different places to get the reviews, right? Or maybe we put out 7 different things for content delivering for you, or you build a loyalty program but you don't even have any customers yet. Right? So knowing when your consistency has begun to value for you, you can only add volume to get to your goal once that gets there. And how do you know when that's there? Well, sometimes you as a business don't actually see it, right? Like if I was consulting Chris at the time, I would have probably told him and probably warned him, if you put that out there, how long have you been open for? Oh, well, we haven't opened yet. Maybe you should open with no sign first and get passerbys, right? And then people walk by and see that. Or he probably tells himself that now because we learn from our mistakes. But in most cases, at what level are you at? This is where we can help you with that solution. In our next segment here, we're going to talk about DIY versus us as a company. um, in most cases, the tools that you're going to be using, you have to figure out that if you're the owner, if you're watching this and you're the owner of a business, um, then you have to ask yourself at what level you are of that ownership, right? When I first opened up my business, Chris, I don't know about you, did you clean any of your own bathrooms?
I was everything.
Yeah. You were everything, right? You were the toilet
Yep.
guy, you were the toilet plunger guy, you were the cook, you were the cleaner, you were the fry cook, you were whatever your business needed you to be. And that's why we have a DIY program, do it yourself. You know, and I did that backwards, right? It's supposed to be DI, do it yourself. There. So I'm gonna keep that in there. I'm not even gonna edit that out. But the DIY program for you is that, how do we take those tools and make them easy enough for you to be able to use to where it does save you time, right? If you are cleaning your own bathroom, you're not gonna use a toothbrush to clean the floors, even though that would be romantic. It would not be, productive, right? So we're gonna give you the tools that best suit you, for you being the owner, be able to do that, and the training to be able to do those. We want to make sure that the tools that we do provide you are going to be things that you can handle, have a little amount of training, and be able to do them to where they provide you a service well beyond whatever you could do manually, right? Like our review system. If you go into our review system, you're going to be able to go to 150 different locations. If they put a review on Google or Facebook or Pinterest or whatever they're going to put it on, you're going to be able to answer that. And the tools in there will help you answer very difficult questions. We'll teach you how to answer good reviews as well as bad reviews and how to answer them. which is very important. So we're not only just giving you the tool to use, we're giving you the values on how to use them effectively. Okay, that's a big thing. Most people can give you tools, go use this program, go use that program, but they don't know how to use them effectively in your industry. We know not just your industry, but probably just about every niche out there, or how well it will work or not work, and what to say and what not to say. Okay, we've dealt with just about every single industry that's out there. Now,
Hey,
there's also,
Max,
yeah,
I think it's important to, when we say the DIY, that doesn't necessarily mean that you, the owner, have to do that. Okay, but if you have an employee
right.
that can do that, then that our systems are really simple. For example, going back to the restaurant and the tools, I don't think you're going to have to tell an employee how to use a spray bottle. But if you had to, it'd be easy enough to show them. And that's what our programs have.
Absolutely. The DIY program is for your business to be able to do it. And sometimes that may be a employee. Now, the good thing is that you're right. There's a learning curve that's very low at that point. So, and it only comes with a handful of videos in there. And if they ever have a problem, they can contact us. We're very approachable. Now, the aspect there too is that that employee now gets put into, you guess what? Your ROI. So your product now is directly related with ROI because your employee isn't directly related to ROI. And so what I tell most customers, okay, that before you hire an employee to do the job, you should probably look at us as the product value still. Why? Because the cost of the service, like if we did some of it with you, like if you didn't have time to do one thing or maybe one of the others, the next part of our program is to do it with you, right? Like we handle the listings, you'll handle your social networking, those particular types of processes. And from that, then you look at it as like more of an advanced product, right? So like if you had a mop and you're cleaning the floor rather than a buffer, right? So with us, we're more of the buffer for you. We're more of the more of advanced tool. We're still a product of POI, but we're not directly related to ROI now at the point. It's still just the product cost has expanded because it's more advanced, right? Like a hammer compared to a nail gun, right? Or a screwdriver compared to a screw gun. So in our case, it's learning how to use these processes and finding that consistency, what works for you to be able to run these tools for you, because you're going to need them. It's like if you hired a cleaning service to come into your business, that's almost like the same sort of scenario that we would be doing for you. We would be that cleaning service that would come in and do that for you. So now that's our next part of the program, is that we do it for you. You don't have to worry about any of that. And now that becomes a service and process that you receive, and then you utilize it for, making sure your listings are on, making sure your social content's up to date, making sure that, and your content's being delivered, any of it, right? And any other tool that we have. Now, the scary thing is that we have over 150 something tools that you can utilize, from doing advertising and marketing, building websites, just about everything. So it's the same process with every single one of them. Once we teach you what the direct value is to that product, we can then teach you either how to use it yourself or for your employee, and or we'd help you with it, or you'd have us do it completely.
Hey, Max,
Yeah.
and plus everything that we do, we can measure, because there's no way to really know. Maybe it's, oh, I'm getting more customers. Well, maybe you could get more, but the thing is that what we provide also, our reports, and you can get a hold of us, and everything's able to be measured
Yes.
and analyzed.
Yes, absolutely. And when you meet with us, we show you how that's done. And that's really important, that you have to see that what Chris is saying is absolutely true, that we have the availability to measure how many people have clicked on your listing, how many reviews have been answered, how many reviews have positive effect, how many customers have come from that review, or how many people have seen your website, or the analytics of your value of your website, or if you have a loyalty program, or any of the 153 products that we have, 156 actually now, that we have, what can they do for you and how can they work? All right. Well, I think that's about it. In closing, I think Chris and I have always valued being able to talk to people about their business. And that's something that we do here as well. is not only to help you. You may be the foremost authority in your business, and that's absolutely. I'm not going to try to contend with that. I'm not going to try to tell you how to run your business within your niche. Okay, you have your value, unless there is something that I've done in my past that I've helped with and done in that industry. I can give you my advice, what I would do, but I won't ever dare to try to tell you exactly how to run your business. But what I can tell you is that these products and these tools that we talk about, POI, is so important because most people forget at what level that they need to apply these at and how they need to apply them. Some people put the cart before the horse kind of mentality. Chris, you got anything to add?
Yeah, these are tools that when you go into a hardware store and you have somebody who's knowledgeable about the various products that are in there, well, that guy that's in the hardware store, he's not going to tell you how to run a building business.
Right.
He's just going to say, well, here are the products that will help you to run your building business smoother. But
Right.
he's not going to sit there and tell you how to run your business. And we're not going to do the same thing either. We're
Right.
going to provide you with the tools so that you can run your business more efficiently. That's all.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm Max Farrell. We're here with Christophe Gagne, and we are fabertech.com. We really do appreciate your time and your efforts to watch this video or watch this segment or watch us on the post. Please make sure wherever you're watching it that you give us a like and a share and subscribe, especially if it's on our YouTube channel. If you're watching this in the webinar and you want more details of who we are, what we are, go to our fabertech.com website, click on the connect with us, and you can set up a webinar for you or a meeting with a consult. There's so many different ways to get a hold of us in our process. Chris, I want to thank you for hanging out with me, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks, Max.
And as always, work hard and live well.